Hello lovely people, it's Nicola back in the Stitches and Slapdashery sewing room. It's a little bit of a disaster in here, so I thought I'd talk to you while I'm tidying around. First, I really have to say thanks so much for all the lovely comments on the last vlog. There was a little serious bit at the end there where I was talking about quitting the caring job, the caregiver job, because, well, reasons, right? A few reasons why it just wasn't working out for me. And I feel a little bad for the person I was caring for, because I think she and I were building quite a nice relationship there, and I think she will have been disappointed to hear yesterday morning that I wasn't going to be there. But there are plenty of experienced caregivers who will take my place, so I know things will be fine for her. Yesterday I did some self-care, by which I mean I went to the beach for about 5 hours. It was funny because I wanted to have some time at the beach with a book and some knitting and some snacks. So I decided to do it without really checking what the weather forecast was going to be. And I arrived there and I parked at a perfect little spot where I was near a tree, so if it got really sunny, I knew I would be in the shade. And then I took a little walk along the waterfront so that I had a little bit of exercise before I sat on the beach. It was pretty overcast. It wasn't just cloud, it was also some smoke in the air that had blown in from some of the forest fires we always have in DC every summer now. Always. Luckily, there are no major fires near us at the moment. But I just like to say, I feel very bad for the people in Jasper, Alberta, who have been going through a horrible time. They did evacuate the entire city, and everyone there has either lost a home or is fearful for losing their homes. And I know that is a horrible situation to be in, because we were very, very well aware of that last summer when we had a major fire here last August. And if it had just jumped the highway, we'd have been in the exact same position. I also want to say how disturbed and disappointed I am by the news coming out of the UK right now. I hope that if you're watching this, that you're feeling safe and that you are not involved in the turmoil that's happening there right now. There is a horrible situation where a young man, barely 18, went a little nutso with a knife, and 3 young girls, only 7 or 8 years old, were killed, and other children were also injured. And this has sparked a whole bunch of race riots and anti-racist protests. And whilst I do not watch the news, because I know a lot of it is biased and sensationalized, I do hear about the news that's important. And I just want to say how awful it is that this is happening right now. I can't believe, I'm constantly faced with the proof that human beings are not the intelligent species they think they are. Constantly faced with the proof of that. And yet I always hold out an optimistic feeling that we can do better and we will do better. I guess that's all I'm going to say on that, because this is not a political vlog, and it's about crafting. But I'm sending all the love I can to you guys in the UK and hoping that this is going to settle down really quickly. This is Editor Nicola from the future, just recording an extra little segment. I just wanted to warn you that this editing might be a little choppy today. At one point, my microphone died on me and I was yakking away for a while, and then I noticed, so I put a different one on. So I recorded a voiceover for some of the bits that didn't have sound, and I cut out quite a bit as well because I was yakking on at length about stuff. One of the things I was talking about that ended up on the cutting room floor was changing the yarn cubbies I have in my sewing room to make them lighter and brighter. The plan was I thought I might paint the laminate, and then I thought that was far too much hassle, and I pulled out this roll of sticky back vinyl that I have had left over from doing the 2 tables in my sewing room months back. And so I used what I could to cover up the cubbies, which you will see later in the video towards the end. And I must say, I think it looks kind of good. So I apologize for the choppiness, and I hope you bear with me as we encounter technological difficulties. So let's get on with the funner stuff, shall we? What do I have to do in here? Oh, actually, before we get on to the funner stuff, I just happened on the way to the beach yesterday, I happened to stop into the library. I wanted to pick up a book I could read, a novel, a little bit of light reading. And as it turned out, this book jumped out at me, and I had no idea what it was going to be about when I picked it off the shelf. But it's by Jodi Picoult. Picoult? I don't know how you say that. I should. I grew up in an island where there was a lot of French spoken, a lot of French place names and all that sort of thing. And it's called Small Great Things. And it seems rather fortuitous or ironic or something that the storyline of this book is there is a black nurse in the United States. She delivers babies. She works in a hospital in the labor and delivery ward. She's been working there for 20 years. She's very good at her job. And what happens is that a couple comes in to have their baby. They have their baby, and she goes into the room the next morning after they've had their baby, and they are uncomfortable with her going anywhere near them or their baby because they're white supremacists. And so when something happens to the baby, she is the first person they blame. And so at the moment, I'm about 3/4 of the way through the book. It's obviously a very engaging read, and I am devouring this book. So we're at the point now where the court case is happening, because there is a criminal case against this black nurse because the baby died. And that's no secret. It'll be on the back of the book, in the summary of the book. So that's not a spoiler. And as a white person, it is very educational and very eye-opening as to the prejudice that black people still have to go through today, even though we should know better. And that, again, is also disappointing and disturbing to me. Because, again, humans should be more intelligent than this. It's an excellent book. Read it. Okay. Yes. Back to the tidying. Back to the tidying. My lovely big cutting mat, my giant cutting mat, is on the floor. Can't remember why I took it off the table, but it's going back over there. Chair belongs over there. The apron that I sewed the other day needs to come off the mannequin now, or the dress form, because I need to take that to the market with me tomorrow to give to the lady I made it for. So all I need to do is pop that in the pile of stuff. Everything behind the dress form needs to go to the market with me tomorrow because that's all my inventory. So I'll pop it in this bag here. So that's fine. That's fine. That's not going to look any better. Put this dress form back here. I've got stuff on the floor because when I was cutting out garments last week, I needed my whole sewing table surface. And so the stuff that's usually behind my sewing machine, of course, I had to move. Oh dear, I'm looking at the floor now and it's all a little crazy. All of this lovely polyester tech fabric stuff that I got a while back is just here sitting in a heap. I pulled it out of its bag the other day to make the drawstring bag for my son and then the bag for the folding chair that I showed you last time. So I think I'm going to throw it under here. There's a couple of magazine type containers there that my husband stopped using. So we're going to pop that under there. Oh, and this is the bag it was in, I think. Possibly. We'll keep that. That'll come in useful one day. Oh, looking better already. I really need to pick up some more of these. These are cardboard pieces that my local fabric store use. Well, they throw them in the recycling all the time. Either this single wide or a double wide one. And it would be really useful to pick up some more next time I'm there. I'll have to do that because it's so nice to see the fabric wrapped around these instead of just stuffed in a box. All right, this is the fabric that's left from those wrap pants I made. So that should probably go in a box with some other knit fabric right there. Now, I want to show you these. These are what I used to call instant vests. When I was working at the fabric store, there was one girl who was there years ago who left years before I left. And she showed me a really, really cool way to make a very quick vest. And what was nice about it is you could just stick on a t-shirt and a pair of jeans, something like that. And then you could pull the outfit together by putting one of these on. And all it is a meter of fabric. So I would buy, I'll put this one on. I would buy a meter of fabric and then, so the meter is for the length down the back there. And the width of the fabric is this. They're usually 150 centimeters or 60 inches wide. And then you literally just cut armholes in it and it would make a fantastic vest. It was so easy to make. So all you would do is the fabric was folded on the bolt. You didn't even have to unfold it. In fact, if the pattern goes all the way to the edge, you didn't even need to cut off the selvages. So there's your piece of fabric folded. And then I used to just measure about 8 inches down from the top. So 8 inches down from that top edge and about the same from the folded edge, because it really just depends on the width of your back. The only measurement you need is really the width of your back, but a bit smaller because it's... And here is where my delightful microphone decided to pack up. Thanks, battery. As I was saying, I measure about 7.5 inches from the fold because my back's about 15 inches. And I cut a slit about 8 inches deep, but of course that will depend on how much room you want for your armhole. Fabric is stretchy. If you use a jersey knit, it won't fray and it will stretch to fit. Awesome. Yep, check my microphone on a regular basis, but I missed that one until later on, sadly. This turquoise one was the first one. Very striking design on that, because of course turquoise is my favorite color. And this purple one was the exact same design, just in a different colorway. And then I have two of the same design. Absolutely love this fabric. The reason I have two is I wanted one for myself and I wanted one to hang at work on a mannequin to show the fabric off. A lot of people complimented me on those vests and they wanted to make them themselves, so they would buy the fabric to do it. And I made up a sheet, I typed it up, photocopied it, so that when people asked about it, I could just give them a sheet and they could go home and make one for themselves. So the plan is that as I don't wear these anymore, I'd like to use the fabric to maybe make some tops out of it or something, because there's a lot of usable fabric there. So now there's going to be a lot of tidying up of my sewing room. I have a crochet basket there, which I was using upstairs next to my bed. And I think I'm just, seeing as I don't have a soundtrack, I'm just gonna speed up this whole bit so that you don't have to try and lip read. Putting away the felt pipe cleaners, not that I used them, I just moved the basket for some other reason. And my bias binding, which I took down for that black embroidered top. I actually wore my black embroidered top and skirt to the beach yesterday, and today I'm wearing a black t-shirt with the skirt part. Feels good to wear something you made yourself. Oh, and here's all my bits of webbing. And also there's going to be a bag of elastic heading up there. Oh, there you go. And here's where I realized my microphone had died. So I switched it out for one that worked. I'm not sure at what point my microphone just died, but I put the other one on. I'm hoping we only missed a little bit out there. Oh, I've obviously got to charge that one. Okay, so while I have the other microphone on, which hopefully is not about to die, let's talk some knitting, shall we? So I started this little toddler hoodie. It's funny, you'd think a toddler hoodie would be just like, oh, that'll take no time at all to make. It's only small, the 2 to 3 year old size, but it still seems quite a long project because I'm impatient. I've only been working on it a week. It's nothing, isn't it? A week is nothing, and my deadline isn't till like the middle of October, because that's when I'm going to see the person for whom I am making this thing. This is the yarn. It's Sirdar Jewelspun. It's an Aran, or no, it's a worsted weight. It's a worsted weight yarn. It's got lots of pretty colours in it, and I think I showed you this before I had divided for the sleeves, so let's show you it now. Right now we've got something that actually is starting to look like a jacket, and the yarn is so lovely. It makes me think of rock strata. If ever you go somewhere where there's a lot of layers of rock visible, that's what it makes me think of. And the colours in it are lovely and soft, which is, not something I always use, but when I do, I actually really like it. It's just a raglan cardigan shape. And once I've finished the length from the underarm, I think it's like 8 inches or something, I go back and add the sleeves, and then I go back and add the hood. And then after that, the pattern is called Hoodiesaurus by Littletheorem on Ravelry, and it will have little dinosaur spines all the way down the back of the hood and the back of the jacket. I think it's going to look adorable. So when we go back to visit family in October, I'll be taking that with me. I have to pack it down as small as possible in the backpack that I'm going to take. We're only going for a week. So I will be trying to travel, as usual, as light as possible. So that will be coming with me. I'm using my Knit Picks Caspian needles, which I love. Totally sold on wooden needles these days. So that has progressed quite well, really, in a week, because last week I had a lot of knitting time, and I also took it. Where did I do some? There was somewhere else I worked on it, and I can't remember where. I did take it to the beach yesterday, but because I had such a good book with me, I didn't actually do any knitting. I also took it to the coffee shop with me, or the tea shop with me this morning, and I didn't do any knitting either because I had my book with me. That's the thing. When you're into a good book, you don't want to do anything else, do you? You just like totally got your head in the story, and it's like you've gone into another world, and it's really hard to pull yourself out of it. It just takes over your brain in a good way, right? The other thing I've been working on this week is the granny square thing. So a few vlogs ago, I was playing with my dress form and my granny squares and trying to figure out a garment I could make. And so what I ended up doing this week, whoops, squares going everywhere. What I ended up doing was doing 2 panels of 12 squares with 2 different colors of the all-in-one granny square yarn, the purpley one and the bluey one. So I did one full 12 square rectangle, and then I did another 12 square rectangle. And then I started to think about how it was all going to come together into some sort of tunic top. I did a slip stitch join, so slip stitch into the back loop. So you put your hook into the back loop of one square, into the back loop of the other square, pull the yarn through and finish the slip stitch. And I think it makes a nice, flat, interesting, sturdy join. So once I started thinking about, okay, now I've got my 12 square panels done, how am I going to figure out the shoulders? And in the end, I went back and looked at the Yarnspirations pattern options. They have a tunic and a dress for this yarn, free patterns on their website. And I thought, oh, I should have just followed their instructions in the first place, because going off-piste was not really working out for me. So what I ended up doing is adding a couple of shoulder squares. I'm probably going to hit the mic here, but these 2 squares I haven't quite finished on here. I just put it down, and I think, I don't know, maybe Mr. Stitches and I were going for a walk, and like it was like, let's go, okay, and I just put it down and didn't pick it up again. So these are the shoulders, which will join to that other panel of 12 squares. Now the problem with this is it's not going to be big enough across my body. When I looked at the Yarnspirations pattern, for my size of body, I really need to have extra squares at the side. So 3 is fine for the front, but then I need a line of squares down the side that will join to the back panel. And of course, I've already joined up all of these blue and purple ones, and now I'm thinking I should have planned better, because I'm going to have to use some of the red ones and or some of the light pink aqua ones to not only add squares down the side, but also add another row of squares at the bottom to make it more of a dress length. Now I've decided that's what I wanted to do with it. And I should have decided that before I started joining them, shouldn't I? Silly me. Right now, that is in progress, but slightly annoying me because I'm going to have to figure out what squares I'm going to have to put where. So right now, they're all in my big pink applique pumpkin bag. Pink pumpkin applique? Pink. I don't know. Oh yeah. My ironing board has this rope piled on top of it. I was playing with something called a monkey fist knot or something, because I was trying to make tie backs for my curtains upstairs. I have a curtain at the deck door that blows around when the patio door is open. And I also have vertical blinds on the windows that also blow around when the windows are open. And we bought this super chunky cord for making tie backs of some kind from Amazon, a long time ago, months in fact. And I still haven't figured out what to do with it exactly. So that pile can stay there. This pile of fabric, oh yeah, this pile of fabric here was one that I kept out when I was sorting out my drawers over there. I have some rather fun fabric that's a little bit heavier than a quilting cotton. I suppose you would call it duck or a light canvas. So I have some of this, which is rather cute. And this floral one. I did make a bag out of that. Where did it go? That's funny, I can't see it. Oh, there it is. I made this bag out of that fabric. It's one of those ones that has handles and it also has a section on the top with a drawstring kind of tucks inside the bag. Can't even remember what's in there now. Ah, it's my zipper bag. Oh. So I have a scrap of that left over to use. Then I have a little bit of this left over, which is the spoonflower fabric that my friend gave me that's printed with granny squares. I used a lot of that for a laptop bag I made a while back. And I have some scraps left over. I have some light blue twill. That showing true to colour? It's a very pale blue, almost a grey blue. Or is that a blue-grey? And then I have some scraps of this. Now, I made myself a lunch bag out of this. Do you think I can find that lunch bag anywhere? I was needing a lunch bag on the days I was going to work some days because I wanted to put an ice pack in with what I was taking to work. And I couldn't find them anywhere. I have two, actually. One lunch bag is the one I made for myself out of this stuff, and I did it with insulating fabric and everything. It was great. The other one is a commercial one I think I got from Costco. I have no idea where they are. It's a little overcast today, a little bit of smoke in the air, but I came down to one of my favourite areas to spend a few hours at the beach. I don't do this often enough. I didn't bring my microphone with me today though, so I'll talk as loud as I can without being too obvious to the occasional passerby. Here's the plan. I'm having a little walk first, and then I'm going to set up under a tree with all my stuff. And if I get warm, I'll swim, and then I'll dry off and read and knit and all that fun stuff. All the essentials: chair, towel, coffee and water, hat, book, which I picked up from the library on the way here, snacks, knitting and quilt. One thing I did forget was my sandals to put on when I go in the water, because it's a very pebbly beach. This is what my cubbies look like now. Unfortunately, there wasn't quite enough of the vinyl sticky stuff to finish. There's a little square there that's not covered, but most of it got covered. Oh, and there's also these horizontal bits at the top. I didn't have enough to do those either. But it looks way better. And now I'm looking forward to filling it up in a different way, make it look a little more interesting, maybe. Well, we won't talk about the pile of stuff for the market on the left and the pile of denim and stuff on the right. We'll just admire the newly gussied up cubbies. Cutting mats back on there. Unfortunately, it sticks out a little because of the hutch, but can't be helped. So I've got cotton yarns and dishcloth cottons in there, and some random DK and cottons in there, some scapious and some Brava in there. My mechanical Janome, which my son was talking about using recently, so I thought it wouldn't hurt to bring it down. Buttons there. The flower bag that I made last year. There's some chunky straight needles in that holder just down on the right. Some little bits and pieces I made, plus some worsted weight and some fluffy stuff. Sirdar Jewelspun, some more little bits and pieces I made last year, this year, I think. My Tunisian crochet hook set. That grey dotty one has some aluminium crochet hooks in it, and then my big container of DPNs is there. I have a thing at the back that holds patterns, a lighted crochet hook set that I got from a friend, and then my Lion Brand Heartland, and behind that is some Signet chunky and some spindle, and then on the top I put my fabric bins, sorted mostly by colour, but there's 3 miscellaneous ones at the end here. There we go. Well, I'm really pleased with my refreshed cubbies. They're all dusted and reorganised now, as well as looking much lighter than that dark laminate. So much prettier. And you can't tell that behind that sewing machine there's a little bit that didn't get covered up. I wasn't expecting to film an entire vlog today, but I think there's enough footage from just this afternoon to put a video up. So I will thank you very much again for watching, and please spread the love, spread the love, spread the love. Let's try not to get sucked into all that negativity that we hear about or see on the internet, the TV, the radio, or whatever. For your own mental health, I say, avoid watching the news. Stay positive, stay optimistic. This world is a wonderful place, really. We just have to focus on the positive. And I don't think that's burying your head in the sand. I think it's protecting your own health. And we just have to, if we feel a little helpless about what's going on, or a little bit of despair or whatever, then we have to, if we can change it, then obviously take action if you can. But if you can't, make sure that the environment around you is as peaceful and as full of love as possible. Enjoy your crafting. Love your family, love your friends. Tell them you love them as often as you like, because you can never say it often enough. And I'll see you next time. Thanks for being here. Bye for now.